This is Girl 3, Trapped, a Maya Gray FBI suspense thriller, Book 3. Written by Molly Black. Narrated by Talon David. Chapter 1. Watching his victims was the most important part of all. He wanted to understand them before he struck, wanted to know every facet of their lives. Currently, he was watching from inside the van he'd outfitted for exactly that purpose, with a wealth of audio and visual devices feeding information back to him about the outside world. Telling you, Marcy, everything's going to be fine. So, do you want to go out Friday night? There was a breathy note to Cindy's voice that he'd always disliked, even from the start. I can't. I'd have to get a new sitter. Kelly's gone off to college now. Of course, he could hear the hesitation in that, the small lie to spare feelings. It was amazing what you could hear when you only listened hard enough. It isn't hard to get a sitter, girl. He'd bugged his target's phone, of course. That was simply standard, even if it meant having to put up with banal conversations about whether her friend could get childcare. He had more bugs in Cindy's handbag, around her house, even placed carefully in one of her shoes, so that wherever she went, he would be able to hear her. Her whole life filtered in through his headphones, focused and amplified until he could pick apart every nuance. The crunch as Cindy ate her morning cereal, the small sound of annoyance as she hung up, telling him exactly what she thought about her friend bailing on her. Since he'd begun his surveillance, he'd heard every tiny sound in her life, come to know her as intimately as a lover. He could see her, too, of course. He'd managed to get a pinhole camera into each of the rooms of her house, letting him watch her movements as well as listen in. Currently, Cindy was sitting in her pajamas, eating cereal and flicking through a well-worn textbook. The rustle of the pages came to him each time she turned them. She was pretty, he supposed, in that way that youth could so easily be mistaken for prettiness. Cindy had delicate features, a slender frame bordering on the fragile, hair that was getting out of hand already, in spite of her having it cut a few days before. He could remember the delicate snick of the scissors then, the harsher sound of the hairdryer, and the music in the background. She went to get dressed, and he looked away from the screen for that part, relying only on his ears. He wasn't a voyeur. Now she was on the move, and he switched to the driver's seat of the van, keeping his headphones in place. Of course, he had the means to track her by GPS.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?